Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Super Metroid 100% tournament. Tonight we've got ShinyZeni and Zeb316, and I am joined here in commentary tonight by Professor School.
Good evening, speedrunning fans. We're getting ready for an awesome race tonight with, like my co-commentator said, our #1 qualifier, ShinyZeni, and a very talented runner in Zeb316, best known probably for some of the great success that he has had in the randomizer tournaments. We'll be getting started just in a moment here. So Vincent, we got some strong qualifying times here today from our runners. Looks like Zeni coming in with a 1:14.22, just 30 seconds or so off his personal best of 1:13.57. Best for second in the world right now in the 100% category. And Zeb at a 1:23.21 qual time, just a second off his PB. Really strong stuff there.
Yeah. When you get to the level of where we're at with these runners, it's amazing watching what's happened, especially in the last month. I think we've seen a record number of PBs in this category as people have been prepping, and like people like Zeni and Behemoth have been working on new technology that some of the racers are starting to bring in, and it's showing up, and times are just getting better and better and better.
Yeah, we were actually talking about this on comms last night. It's really incredible to see what this 100% tournament has done for the community and for the category. You go on SRL right now, you go and check out those leaderboards every single day. 80% of those leaderboards are filled with brand new PBs from people running 100%. So it's really, really cool.
I mean, obviously, anytime you have a tournament, a category come up, it's going to help. But I feel like it's been almost more so happening in this category than any other category around it surrounding a tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great to see. Well, here we go. We're getting started. Runners are here in series station. Going to go through this obligatory fight with Ridley. Certainly be seeing Ridley later on. And just trying to get in and out of series station as quick as possible. If we can move on to the main part of the run.
And I was going to say this, but this is something important to remember. And Sassy Zeni actually mentioned this in chat, that in this category, and just in Super Metroid in general, the game is so volatile that you never know what's going to happen. And we've seen crazy things happen in this tournament so far, where people have gotten all the way up to Mother Brain 1 and had a crazy chain damage death. So as chat mentioned, it's not over until someone gets on that ship at the end.
That's right. And we're waiting to see that 100% item collection indication at the end of those credits, indicating that the runners have successfully completed the task of this tournament. They need to get all 100 of those items that'll be scattered here across Zebis throughout the course of about 80 minutes or so of fun times looking ahead.
And here we go. Both runners are really close right now. I mean, they're pretty similar escape times, so we're going to see how movement makes a difference for both of these racers.
Yeah, almost identical movement there. Some very subtle differences. Zeni going for a weave there through the climb room on that moonfall, and also goes for that double down back, saving a couple frames in parlor as well. But as you can see, both hitting that elevator within a second of each other and going down for the first item that we're going to see collected here, that morph ball. That'll be 1 out of 100. So buckle in for this item fanfare, folks.
Yes, with a number of door changes and number of item collections, it definitely interrupts the action a little bit. But this is still easily my favorite game to watch a speed run of, and there's so many different strategies, especially in this category. And we'll see both runners. Like you mentioned, the slightly different technique that Zeni used to come down the climb. He tends to opt for a lot of the harder strats that save a couple of frames. Like that weave, and there's another weave coming later that we'll see. So it makes his run almost, I feel like, a little bit more volatile at times, because he might lose a little bit of extra time if he doesn't completely nail the strat, but he's still one of the definitely. I mean, there's a reason he's the number 2 runner on the leaderboard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll actually take a minute to comment specifically on that. There are some runners that manage to have really successful single runs from hitting all these hard strats. One of the things that's really impressive about a runner like ShinyZeni is just the absolute sort of beauty in all of the motion and the efficacy. I've been trying to play along with his new 100% tutorial, and the room times that he is getting, I'm executing all the same tricks, and I'm 10, 20, 30 frames sometimes behind on every single room. It's just everything is done so crisply and so cleanly, and that's what you need to get a 113.57 PB. I mean, that is just blazing fast.
Slight little hiccup in that BT fight for Zeni, but still through pretty quick.
Little troll there with just coming out on 4 missiles. Should be okay. Zeni knows how to handle this sort of situation. It's certainly optimal to leave with full health and ammo here. And a little bonk there for Zeb too. So a little bit of trolling from BT early on here.
Oh, that right side Alcatraz escape. I have not been able to execute that one yet. That is a very difficult version of that escape.
Yeah, and you can see Zeni collecting the drops off that waiver, easily picking up that 5th missile, and he'll have no problem coming into Green Brent Star.
Yeah, runners of this caliber definitely know how to, they know, hey, I might have to farm this one extra thing along the way, and they've been through that in the number of runs that they've done. Oh,
there, a little bit of a problem here, folks. We'll see if we can get this taken care of really quickly. Unfortunately, I am entirely unqualified to talk about Kirby 64.
As am I. That is not a game I know anything about. So
just a second, folks.
We will go get this fixed.
Well, folks, looks like we're going to have to take a second to deal with this little hiccup. Try to get one of the organizers of the tournament and some SpeedGaming Live folks involved. See if we can clean this up nice and quick. In the meantime, go ahead and type any questions you have into the chat about Kirby 64, and maybe someone will do their best to answer it. Of course, it is a great time to remember to go ahead and follow both of our runners, ShinyZeni and Zeb316, as well as my co-commentator here, Vincent RTA, who's a streamer himself. I'm sure they'd all appreciate that.
Zeni seems to appreciate the game that we have switched to.
Well, this is certainly a new one for me, Vincent. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, but it looks like Kirby has his equivalent of a space jump and a few different attacks. I've never seen this game, so this is new.
Well, certainly bear with us, folks. We all understand that these sorts of things happen occasionally. We have some technical glitches. We can try to get a little bit cute here and give you some indication of what's going on in the race. Your commentator team will try to keep an eye on the individual streams of the racers while we figure this out, and we'll give you remote updates.
I've got Zeni's stream pulled up. I don't have Zeb, so I was trying to look for it. So right now I'm seeing Zeni is getting ready to enter Kraid.
Yeah, we're about 10.5 minutes into the run now. Zeni just getting ready for the Kraid quick kill. Zeb just on his heels, coming through to the mini Kraid room right now. We were really waxing poetic about ShinyZeni just a moment ago, but just want to point out Zeb316, as I mentioned earlier, is a really fantastic runner. Has placed very strongly in a lot of the recent rando tournaments, including participation in that Dash rando today. So certainly someone who has great capacity for hundo and for creating things on the fly if necessary.
And it looks like we're going to be back on with our video shortly.
Yeah, just bear with us, folks. We're almost through this little hiccup here. Give a little refresh to the stream here. Let's see if that's going to give us anything. Looks like we were getting pretty close.
Got Zeb video. There we go. All right. And we're back with audio, and Zeb's now in Kraid and getting ready for their Kraid battle. Looks like Zeb's set a little far back.
Ah, well, there you go. That's the explanation. Zeb going for that charge beam with the 4 supers. Ooh, unfortunate there for Zeb. It's interesting. I know that a lot of runners rely on that charge going into those supers, and I was always a little bit concerned about having an issue with 4 supers in the 100% category. You're never really guaranteed to have that many supers coming in, depending on drops. But Zeb certainly knows what he's doing, managed to take care of it with no problem, and is moving on with that Varia suit.
Shiny now heading down for his first entrance into Norfair to go execute the early ice route, which we know is what he made his PB on. I'm not sure which route Zeb316 takes. If anyone knows that in chat and can let us know, that would be great, but we'll find out fairly soon anyway.
Yeah, just checking the leaderboards now. It does look like Zeb goes ahead and runs that early grapple route. So we'll likely see a route divergence unless Zeb has made any sort of changes recently. But at this level, I find it unlikely that the runners will make any sort of drastic changes. Rely on that tried and true, what you know well, and let that carry you through this 100% run.
Well, especially, and as I've learned this in racing other games, you do not want to change up what you don't want to try something completely new during a race, especially because it can backfire and things can go very wrong, or things can take a different direction by going against what you know. And especially if you're not used to the resource management required to do the early ice route, and also if you can't execute that ice clip consistently, that could make for a huge difference in time versus the early grapple.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not to mention just using grapple, if you're not familiar with it, in those early strats, especially around Croc, can be really, really demanding, and you really have to know what you're doing with that specific item. Nice little early speed farm here for Zeni. At full health, I'm sure he's counting his reserves. Nice super count, too, going into speed. A full 4 super missiles.
Yeah, again, down to that resource management, especially, again, in this early ice route, there's a few less items collected, especially as we go into a fight like Fantoon, or just some of this early movement and doors ammo required for doors. It's very important to manage every single super you've got.
Absolutely. Wanted to go ahead and welcome those folks coming in from SpeedGaming 2. Hope you enjoyed your race over there. This is the Super Metroid 100% tournament. This is a third round matchup between the #1 overall qualifying seed, ShinyZeni, and Zeb316 came in with a strong qualifying time. These two are going to be fighting out for a spot in the semifinals of this Super Metroid 100% item collection tournament.
Yes, and we're down to this and one other race for the end of this round as we head into round 4. This race is getting closer to the end. It's super exciting watching all these outstanding runners, and it's just every match has gotten better and better as we've went along.
What do you think, Vincent? Have you had a favorite match so far?
I covered one that was a 4 different racers running at once, and they were all super high quality. But just watching that, and 2 of the racers were very close in personal best. The other 2 racers were very close, and it was fun watching that because it was like there were 2 different races going on. Well, there were 2 different races going on, but even watching them watching how close each of the runners were, depending on the routes they took or their experience, it was pretty awesome watching that all at once. But of course, that was the one that ended very unfortunate with a chain damage at Mother Brain 1.
Yeah, that was the 4-way with C. Scotty W. Very unfortunate. It seems like I cannot escape this. Chain damage has been talked about throughout comms in this entire tournament. I'm certainly one of those runners that bowed out of this tournament due to some pretty epic chain damage at Dragon for my case. But this is part of the volatility of even this 100% category.
Well, we've seen weird things like someone almost soft lock out during a tournament. Like, this game it's a very demanding game, not only in its requirement for high quality control for movement to even in any way make Samus look like she's running smooth at all. And now we see that route divergence with Zeb going down to Croc, getting that early grapple route.
Oh, nice little swag movement there for Zeb, using that turn animation and those iframes to get through that entire room without losing any momentum. And now heading down to see just how pleasant RNG will be here. We can count the swipes that we're going to get from Croc. Do have a question in chat about the other racers that have made it to the semifinals already. We did have Hodarubi winning a nice matchup over Nintoaster just earlier this weekend. Hodarubi will be playing the winner of this ShinyZeni Zeb316 match in one of our semifinals matchups. We have Zos over Sasha Boss, who is awaiting the winner of the Sloters Aussie 101 match. That'll be a really good one coming up tomorrow. And then we have Behemoth and Mr. Guy Average in a semifinals match. And finally, a really good one there, Oats and Goats and a Real Cutie. So keep an eye on the schedules, and we'll have some really great semifinals matchups coming for you real soon in this tournament.
In that next round, I think the one that I'm going to be super interested in watching for sure is going to be the Oats and Goats and a Real Cutie, because Cutie has been getting so much better recently, and that's going to be a really fun one to see if they can crack into that next round. And Oats has been working a lot on this category as well, so it's two extremely good runners getting to that next level of play.
Nice execution there for ShinyZeni, making quick work of those alpha and beta power bombs, and now making his way up in the approach to wrecked ship.
And you'll see a lot of the things that Zeni does, like that that placement of that power bomb everything is very purposeful. Even just that placement for everything he's doing, he's looking for lag reduction, looking for time saves. He's always trying to save every frame. And let's see if he gets this trick, because this is one of my favorites.
Looks pretty good.
Bonk the door. Okay.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, it looks like the that beam just despawned off screen, just a few frames early, disallowing that ocean fly.
Zeb with some great movement here to grapple. Just looks very, very comfortable in this run. Definitely confident in this route. Yeah, that ocean fly from Moat, it's a complete timing trick. So it's very difficult to get consistent.
It is, and there's a lot of different ways to approach that one too. Certainly, super missiles gives you a different size of a window there versus regular missiles. The charged spazer shot gives you a different window. Really, you just want to get that timing down, get comfortable with it, and you see these top runners, they execute that pretty consistently.
Shiny, our first runner, getting to face our favorite friend Fantoon, who can troll you for sure, depending on the pattern he gives you.
So for those joining us that are maybe a little bit new to Super Metroid, Fantoon can give you 3 different patterns in each round based on the speed that he decides to open his eye. In that case, that was a slower pattern. We call that a slow. And we're going to get at least a mid here, if not another slow for ShinyZeni. Yep, there's that mid pattern in that second round. Ooh, just not getting enough missiles into that first Doppler, I think, in round 1. Trying to jam all of them in, and now having to wait for that third round here.
Gets to that third round. Not going to love that there was a third round, but yeah, I saw that too, that the first round was just a little bit short on missiles. But now we'll get out of there, and we'll go through a part of this ship that is very difficult because of a aptly named room coming up, the Spiky Room of Death.
Yeah, we actually we name all of our rooms here in Super Metroid, and we actually have one called the worst room in the game. I would say for this category, worst room of the game, we'll talk about it a little later in Norfair, is really not so bad with the screw attack item on. This Spiky Room of Death that we'll see just here in a moment is definitely one of those more tricky ones.
Zeb successfully gets up that red tower climb. Opts of the strategy of shooting up, clearing the block, and then getting back up for that second jump. That can be difficult to execute timing-wise, because that block will respawn on you pretty quick if you're not very deliberate in your movement.
All right, here you see that bounce ball entrance. Should carry Zeni most of the way across the room. You can actually execute that in such a way that you can go all the way across that spiky room of death. Zeni coming up about halfway short in that room and then going for that nice D-boost through the door.
Zeni always goes for the harder strategy to get across there of just the one bomb jump, where the safer and a little bit easier is to take the first bomb and set yourself up for the second one. But that's a trick he's definitely practiced a lot and got to that level execution. But now we have that first pass through the spike room of death with low life, but this second pass is almost more important, as your resource and life management coming out of this are very important leading into what we're going to have going into Gauntlet and sparking across the map to get into Gauntlet and clear through much quicker than having to use power bombs.
Yeah, that's right. You can see Zeni now just getting to his 4th energy tank. Zeb still hasn't picked up that wrecked ship E-tank, so we'll be up to 5 E-tanks at this point in the run, where you see Zeni going through this attic room. And so that 1 E-tank really does make a whole lot of difference as far as resource management goes. And that's definitely one of the major differences between the 2 routes that these runners have selected to use for 100%.
Looks like Zeni was getting a little bit trolled by the robots there, trying to damage through. So I had to spend a bunch of missiles to clear that pathway out.
No problem on the way back, though. Nicely clipping through that robot. And let's see how this reverse trip through attic goes. Just a little hitch there. No problem. Making his way out to those Sky and Maze missiles.
Perfectly executed Sky missile there. That's definitely the fastest strat to get it, and doesn't use any extra energy by not having to shine spark up.
Yeah, the spark only costs about 20 energy or so, depending on how you choose to execute it. But as we mentioned earlier, the resource management here is pretty important, and so even that 20 health is going to be very important. Here we go on the right side of your screen. Zeb316 now making his encounter with Fantoon. Let's see if that RNG is a little bit friendlier. We had a slow mid for ShinyZeni. Chance for Zeb to make up a little bit of time. And right there's that fast.
Looks like Zeb will need another round here, but got a fast there.
Oh yeah, much friendlier RNG here for Zeb. Did opt to go for some on-screen missiles in that first round. That may have been a strategy purely to go for the 3 rounds just out of safety. I actually opt to do the same thing if I don't feel comfortable with getting a 2-round kill.
However, that was extremely rare in a triple fast. A double fast is super rare, but a triple fast is incredibly low odds.
Yeah, and a nicely executed 3-round from Zeb. Now going to be moving on to that same spiky room of death, but of course we'll be coming into and out of that room with 1 additional energy tank.
And that's going to make a nice difference for Zeb in time and in this race, and making up a lot. That makes up a lot as compared to the slow versus fast patterns. Zeb with some really clean movement to get out of that room, and sets up that power bomb in the right space to not break any excess blocks, not slow themselves down. Really just some great play.
Yeah, I totally agree, Vincent. And that's actually a great time. Just to remind folks who are coming in from SpeedGaming 2, go ahead and give our runners a follow. They're putting on a great show for us today. They've been working really hard throughout the course of this tournament. And yeah, let's just go ahead and show them some love. Make sure that we throw them a follow.
And take the opportunity to follow my colleague, Professor School, who plays this category as well, and I'm sure he would certainly appreciate your support as well. Great movement from Zeni through that power bomb room there at the top of criteria. That was about as fast as you can execute through that room.
Yeah, really nicely done, and plenty of energy here, sitting at 217 plus whatever's in the reserves. You see Zeni now executing a wraparound shot. That shot into the floor there actually goes and shoots a copy of a door off screen in the room that is just going off screen for you now. Zeni sparking through the gauntlet area and ending with just the right amount of energy in order to go ahead for this back gauntlet spark. Just missed it, unfortunately.
So unfortunately, we'll have to use supers to get through here. Sorry, power bombs to get through here, which is definitely slower than being able to pull off that back gauntlet spark. Ooh. These last couple of missiles in gauntlet can be scary, and Zeni just made a really nice recovery on making sure he didn't fall any further and lost those crumble blocks, so that would have required a wrap around the gauntlet, which adds a lot of time.
Yeah, I think it is one of the largest possible time losses that you can have.
That and missing the missiles at the top of GT room, the golden Torizo room.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think pointing out in chat, it can be 2 minutes or more, which is I think even twice as long as the fall at GT can cost you. But we've actually heard Zeni talk about this before. You just got to keep your cool there. You see yourself falling through those crumble blocks. Don't panic, just react, and you can tap, jump, get on top of those crumble blocks and save it, just as you saw ShinyZeni do there.
Yeah, Zeb's movement through the attic and getting through the top of Rex ship was incredibly solid, and looks like having a fantastic run for themselves, which is a great time in a race to have your best. It'll be interesting to see when the runs converge later on how where we're at time wise between these two runners.
Well, let me ask you this, Vincent. You're in a 100% tournament. You're up against Behemoth or Zeni, one of the top seeds. What do you think about that? Are you nervous going into that, or does that sort of free you to sort of play your best because you don't feel maybe the same amount of pressure that you would with someone who was separated from your PB by maybe just a few seconds?
I think in that situation, I realize that I'm racing against myself. And in general, that's always what I'm going to worry about is how can I get my best run? And and we've seen some racers even in a losing race have gotten their PB, and having a great race to themselves, and that's really all you can do. Is it likely for someone with a 2 to 3 minutes slower PB to beat someone? Not likely, but the other big reason to just run against yourself and make sure you're being consistent is, again, you never know what can happen. And if you're running that good race, if something happens, you're going to be in a place to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that, Vincent. We saw it just earlier. Actually, Hero 82 ran against Cutie, and despite losing that matchup, came up with a huge PB for himself, almost a full minute PB. And we've seen that in a couple other spaces in this tournament. That second seeded runner in the pairing sort of seems free and relaxed and is able to really crush the run. That's been happening for a lot of our runners. That we love to see that.
Yeah, one of the races I got to cover, I got to watch someone's PB, and I was just, it's great to see that for the individual, and they still made even a losing effort in that race, they still got a lot of value out of that experience. I think it was
All right, well,
Cash Mod. Sorry.
oh
Go ahead.
yeah, that's right. Absolutely, I do remember that one as well. So just to get back to the action here, we've got ShinyZeni doing a little bit of cleanup here of Pink Brinstar before making his way over to Meridia, and Zeb316 will be following right in his heels, taking a dip in the moat here. No big deal. Going back over, and we'll see how Zeb deals with Gauntlet, just as we saw Zeni do before.
Nice execution on Zeb of getting that that Shine Spark up to get these criteria power bombs. That can be a difficult one because it's a quick visual cue you have to hit, but executes it wonderfully.
Nice clean waterway there from ShinyZeni, picking up another one of those E-tanks and making his way back up here for the final item collection, coming here in Green Hill Zone before going down into Meridia. And a nice little clip there, saving a few seconds, not having to bomb through those blocks. Nicely done, ShinyZeni.
Now Zeb is on to their Shine Spark into Gauntlet.
Oh, just missing out on that blockbuster strat from Zeni. Was just a little early on that jump press.
Zeb now doing those missiles on the back end of Gauntlet, gets the first pair very clean, no problems, and is safe through there.
Yeah, and that's the way I like to handle it too, Vincent. I'm going through that Gauntlet, and even if I'm just running for a PB, gosh, those quick drops that some of those top runners are doing through those blocks are just, for me, they're so unreliable. It's so tricky, and gosh, it's just such a run killer if you miss that. So I'm with Zeb. Go for slow and steady, set up, and just drop through those blocks, spend the extra frames.
Well, and especially right now, even if, in a race setting, sometimes the safer strat is going to be the better strat, which is why we rarely see, especially from the top runners, a PB happen during a race. A lot of times they're thinking about, oh, well, this might be a little bit better time, but I might lose a ton of time if something bad happens here.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, just to speak to that more specifically, as Vincent pointed out, these runners are going to make some safer decisions in these races than they might do grinding for a new PB. Definitely want to make sure you don't have any big problems. We saw that actually in what was my favorite match of the tournament so far, Kip versus Mr. Guy Average. And Kip actually did a full breakdown of a recent PB and his race a couple days later, and talked about his strategy to actually go in and eliminate some of his more aggressive strats and sort of rely on the things that were the most dependable. And so a lot of different kind of strategies can go into this. How aggressive do you want to be? You're not necessarily going for a PB, but you have to play your opponent, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. These races they're very unpredictable. So making the best decision for yourself is the most important thing to do.
Now we're getting close to about halfway through this race here. ShinyZeni nicely weaving up, going back into the Oasis and picking up this super and missile pack. And Zeb316 on the right side of your screen is now getting ready for his Pink Brinstar cleanup.
Nice. Zeni gets that the mock ball through that exit. That's a very difficult timing trick to hit. Just definitely saves a few frames there. Looks like Zeni's back on back onto some really good movement after having a couple of hiccups early. Just now looks like he's on back with a vengeance.
All right, Vincent, I got to ask you, how do you feel about Batoon?
As a child, my least favorite boss in the game. I felt like I could never get past this. I felt like Ridley was an easier time for me. But then you watch someone like Zeni, who first rounds it, and it's like, yeah. And now, like, obviously, learning some of the strats, it's a much easier time now. But that snake definitely gave me some nightmares as a kid.
Yeah, that's a small little room. You're trapped in there with them. And one of my favorite things actually is watching folks that are doing blind playthroughs, their first time through the game, and they get locked in that room, and those doors shut, and you cannot open them, and there's nothing coming, and you know something not great is going to happen. And that reaction when they're trapped in that room with Batoon and that trolley hitbox, it can be really something.
We saw ShinyZeni get the full halfie, collects the precious missiles, and then now down with Dragon for this fight, which you'll see him execute a very, very fast strategy for this kill. Of course, this is also a time where he gets to kind of rest his hands waiting for the babies coming across. Starting with that X Factor strat, with that Shine Spark saved. Dragon being the only boss that takes damage from that Shine Spark suit. And wonderfully executed fight. Saves that blue suit and gets his spike suit on the first try.
Yeah, beautifully done. Nicely executed fight. The setup looked really good. It looked like all 4 of those X Factor particles connected, and that Shine Spark went through the one area in Dragon where there are some overlapping hitboxes doing maximum damage, and leaving a nice cleanup with those missiles and that second Shine Spark. Of course, the blue suit that you saw there, that's actually an interesting thing that happens when you actually end a Shine Spark within Dragon when she dies. And then there's a double frame perfect trick that Zeni just did to actually store that Shine Spark, which you just see him unleash to go back across Coliseum, speeding up that room just a little bit.
It's one of the many things that Shiny has optimized into his route to save time. And of course, part of the 100% route is later on there's another Shine Spark to grab that's it's a lot harder to execute because you have to execute it from the ground in a mock ball, and that's the Shine Spark to save in Croc. If you hit it, it's a huge time save when you go to get the X-ray later in the race. But if you miss it, it's definitely not optimal as compared to having that grapple.
Yeah, and I'll just point out really quickly, you saw ShinyZeni using that blue speed to fall through those blocks there. That's actually a really critical moment in the run. You do not want to get soft lock in there. If you lose that blue suit in the middle of those blocks, you can get trapped in there, and you will be soft locked. So always happy to see our runners get through those more dangerous parts of the run. All right, here we go on the left side of your screen. ShinyZeni approaching one of the major differences in the route is this ice clip. And gosh, before I even had the chance to talk about it,
first time execution.
Yeah, I mean that's a sub 3 second room for sure. I think I've seen him get somewhere in the 2-3x or 2-4x time for that room. That's really nicely done there. Freezing that Puyo in just the right place. and then managing to clip up through that wall, which is necessary in this lay croc route since you do not have the grapple beam, which is the developer intended way to make it through to this spring ball item that Zeni will be collecting here in just 30 seconds or so.
And now we see Zeni takes a shot at this crab, and what that allows, that gets the crab aggressive to run at him, and that breaks a couple of those sand blocks so he can actually get through a few frames earlier than if he were just to wait. It's one of the many optimizations that are a part of this 100% route that wouldn't necessarily be part of any of the other routes, because most of the other routes never come out here to get the spring ball.
Yeah, the optimizations never stop for these top runners. Pushing hard to get those times down, and every little bit matters, right? Save those frames. Of course, now with the spring ball item equipped, you're going to start seeing some beautiful, what I like to call poetry in motion strats here. This should be our first one, Zeni, spring balling up to drop that bomb, and then go back up through this this movement through the toilet.
Zeb has been having some just absolutely consistent movement. Had a couple of bonks here and there, but for the most part, just looks super smooth through the run today. I'm really interested in going back and watching some of Zeb's VODs and seeing how this run compares to others. But this looks like a extremely good run for Zeb.
For sure, yeah. I mean, let's take a second to sort of big up Zeb316 here. Certainly not the favorite in this race, but has some really impressive times. A 1:23:20 PB in 100%, a 46 in any percent, and a really strong hour-and-a-half time in RBO. So this is a runner who, as I mentioned, is not just good at those randomizers, but is also a very strong Super Metroid no major glitches categories runner. And we're seeing some real beautiful stuff from Zeb today. I think almost certainly on PB pace at this point.
I would definitely guess on PB pace. You know, and sometimes running those other categories can certainly help to shore up movement as you get into this. But there are other tricks that you need to learn to run this category. You know, as Botwoon gave him a little bit of trolling there, but looks to have most of the best strategies ready to go or working. Someone did ask Zeb's PB.
Zeb's 100% PB is 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 20 seconds. And actually, qualifying time was just a second off of that. So coming in really strong to this tournament was Zeb316.
And let's hope that we see another great time and hopefully a PB in this run.
All right, so ShinyZeni making his way down, trying to quick drop through the sand here to the west side of the sand pits. These final two items to collect in Meridia. We'll see some nice spring ball strats here. And then we'll be making his way over down to lower Norfair.
Meanwhile, Zeb has now entered the Dragon fight, and we'll see what strategy looks like getting ready for that X Factor strat as well.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be the standard X Factor strat here, not the Rain Dance strat that we've seen mained by a lot of other runners recently. See how it goes here for Zeb.
Missed that first Shine Spark.
Oh, interesting. Going for a backup with another X Factor. That is definitely a new one for me.
Does get the blue suit coming out of this.
Oof! Oh, made me just a little nervous there. A little bit of extra chain damage coming off, and I was having flashbacks to my round one matchup against Keku. Holy smokes! I'm very glad to see Zeb make their way through and hold on to that blue suit without any problems. Beautiful backup strats, though, pointed out by chat, and I have to admit, yeah, that was some really nice stuff from Zeb.
And that's anything that comes with practicing when you're getting ready for these runs, or when you, especially when you do some of the when you do some of the other categories or randomizers that you have to get used to executing strats that are different, or having some backup strats when something goes wrong in a fight, or even just because you don't have the same weapons coming in, you have to take a completely different fight with the boss. So I'm sure a lot of that experience is paying off here for Zeb. And we see Zeb holding onto that blue suit. Also got them the reverse halfy, so in great shape here.
No problem for ShinyZeni collecting those crumble shaft missiles hidden in the top left of that wall. No issue whatsoever. And now we'll be looking to get a little bit of nice space jump action, fixing that door beautifully, and now making his way through, hopefully with maximum speed, through these next couple rooms going into Lower Norfair.
Bonked a little bit on that D-boost coming across this room that typically starts in the room entering in, but quickly gets the second one, and it's moving forward and headed down to Lower Norfair to face Ridley, which in other categories is a problem, but in this category with that full beam combo is definitely a lot easier fight. And that spring ball always looks so impressive.
Yeah, that spring ball coming out of that blue speed space jump. Standard strat there, but executed to perfection by ShinyZeni. That's actually one of those rooms that has gotten a huge makeover recently. A lot of folks have been coming up with some different strats to try to take down the time further in that Lower Norfair on main hall.
Obviously, Zeb taking the expected route for getting back to Shack Tool. Not having to do that ice clip, but now gets kind of a, what's one of the few breaks you actually get during this run.
Oh boy, just like that, GT finished, no problem whatsoever. ShinyZeni making quick work of what can be a very tricky boss if you're not really familiar with how their motion and actions can go. Zeb also going for that aggro snail strat, not quite getting it, but not a big deal. It's just a few frames lost, and now we're going to get to some beautiful motion here with this spring ball item. Ooh, unfortunate for ShinyZeni. Was actually going for a Shine Spark all the way across those pillars room, and did not get that Shine Spark low enough to get through that door. Had to go for a little backup fast pillars stutter tap, but pulling it off with no problem. Just a few seconds lost.
If there's any question of how hard this game is, looking at the runners like, you know, that are in this tournament and watching them on a regular basis, which, you know, again, follow our runners, take that opportunity. Just going to mention, so ShinyZeni just set a power bomb there, and that's one of, again, these optimizations that he runs in his routes. That's just to stop some of the door lag going into that door transition. But what I was getting at is that if you watch these runners, you know, they'll be going for their personal best. You see in their times, and they'll just have a run where they're completely off that day, or they miss a couple of tricks, and it throws everything off. So, in a race, you don't get the opportunity to reset. When you're going for a PB, you do, and it's one of those things where you're constantly trying to execute, but even the best runners in the world will have mistakes during their runs.
Yeah, and especially in this category, Vincent, I think well said there. 100% is just so difficult to optimize and to stay on top of all of those optimizations throughout the course of the run. It's 350 rooms almost, and it is really, really a marathon to get through all of those with all of your intended strats. We see that nice fast opener with that full beam combo for ShinyZeni, getting all 3 of those first plasma charge shots in, and now switching to missiles to increase the DPS and really speed up this Ridley fight. Ooh, being really aggressive there with those super missiles. Holy smokes! That was, folks, take notes. That is just about as fast as you can do that fight. I don't know what that was. That may have been a 35, 36 second fight. I mean, that is the stuff that everyone's Ridley fights wants to look like.
It doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't get much better than that. That's just absolute perfect execution through there.
Yeah, and chat reacting along with us. It's definitely one of the best Ridley fights I've seen in this tournament.
And that's certainly why Zeni's PB is where it is he's got some of the best execution. Even just this, not a lot of runners are able to execute that spring ball clip to climb up here in Wasteland, and that's just a regular part of his game. Unfortunately, misses that speed mock ball out of there, but keeps moving.
Getting a little caught up in the sand there is Zeb316, but I have to say, one of the few times in this run that we've seen any hiccups like that from him.
And actually,
maybe 122 pace at this point. I mean, it's great stuff from Zeb. Sorry, go ahead, Vincent.
Oh no, yeah, sorry. There was a room a few rooms back where he went through the back cacktrot room, the return back to where the Metroids are to go for the halfie, and just had absolutely perfect movement through the room. Just the perfect space jump over, just no hiccups through the room. A lot of great movement tonight from Zeb. Oh, does he have it?
Yeah, let's see. Going for that Hodaruby special here. The angle looks pretty good. Oh, and breaking both blocks. I mean, that's just the optimal way to do it. Since that Ridley fight, Zeni has just absolutely been on fire.
Yeah, this is an inspired back half of the run so far. I feel like just like a runner like him, he's talked about how he's just had to keep his move on from mistakes. I heard Oates talk about this too. When you make a mistake, you especially in a race, you can't dwell on it. And Oates mentioned that part of why the 100% is such a hard category is there's more opportunities for you to make mistakes. So you'll have moments where you're like, you'll be lamenting on a mistake you made, and it carries over rather than just moving on from it. As in any percent, you don't have the time to think about it.
Yeah, in some ways, I think that 3 second or so transition that you have between every room, it is a nice way to try to clear your head and reset, not just to get your grip ready, not just to prepare that strat that you're going to run for that next room, but just a few seconds between each room to clear that head, make sure you move on, and you can keep yourself going through this marathon of a run.
Well, yeah, and there's certainly, the item collections get a few seconds, and there's certainly a few times in the run that are just a chance to, just kind of reset your mind and be like, okay, this is my next segment.
All right, well, ShinyZeni is going to be cleaning up these items here in this Bubble Mountain area, and now we're going to get really close to that route reconvergence. Zeni's going to be making his way down to the croc fight. Of course, the big difference here, that's that full charge beam combo. What can we expect from this croc fight here, Vincent?
So this is the advantage of doing the early ice, is this croc fight. Rather than having, getting trolled with him swiping, you're going to see one charge shot from that full beam combo, and then Zeni's going to be able to skip around him while the cutscene animation is happening. Go get this E-tank early, and now we'll be able to try to charge this spike suit that is going to make a huge difference in time. It's
Yeah, I'm
also a
always
chance to kind of show off.
Sorry, go ahead, Vincent.
Sorry, also a chance to dance a little while, Croc's backing up.
That's right. Yeah, I've got to say, I'm always a fan of being able to take out Croc in just one shot there and not have to worry about all those swipes and RNG.
And does get to store this suit, so that's going to make a huge difference in the now comes a very difficult part of this run where Zeni's going to have to play with perfect movement, because one wrong press and you can lose that suit as you're going, and we've seen a lot of runners lose it in the very last second.
Yeah, essentially having stored that Shine Spark, anything that ShinyZeni does that would typically be used to trigger a Shine Spark will actually burn that spike suit. So this is the same thing that you saw our runners do in the fight after Dragon, which is essentially morphing up as a ball and then unmorphing and tapping jump on the 1st and 10th frame after taking damage, and that allows you to store that Shine Spark. But of course, with the Dragon fight, you're only holding on to that spike suit for maybe 20 seconds or so, but ShinyZeni is going to be holding on to this, or at least trying to, for a considerable length of time here.
Zeb cleaned up GT with absolutely no problems there. But even then, we saw, even in that room, there was a slight difference in how the runners choose to approach a room, where they set a power bomb before dropping down to GT and was able to grab those missiles while GT was still dropping. So even there's just a slight difference in how to approach these runs. And that's a great thing about 100%. You can find a way that works best for you, and a lot of times there's little to no time loss.
Yeah, that's right. And I gotta say, that last segment there from Ridley going through to grapple for ShinyZeni is just about as clean as I've ever seen him do it. I'm not sure that it was a gold split on his part, but it was darn close. That was we just witnessed something really special there, for sure. All right, ShinyZeni avoiding probably the worst possible place in this segment to blow that spike suit. You do not want to go horizontally across Croc's room there, accidentally blowing that spike suit. So nice to see him come up and collect this final missile, leaving Norfair, and will make his way up towards his final item cleanup and X-ray.
So we saw Zeni hit the elevator at 102.29. So we can kind of use that to get an idea of where runners are and see where the pace is.
Let's see how these metal pirates treat Zeb. See what kind of strats he's going for. He's going for this full activation, it seems, or... Oh, getting just a little tied up there.
Pirates are definitely being trolly here, but gets through, and now we'll head through these last couple rooms, get to the Ridley fight, and then we'll be on their way up and out. And Zeni picks up the worst item in the game. But yes, as chat mentioned, that Zeni having that spike suit paid off as he's able to shine spark through that whole entrance to go get that X-ray. Big time savings. X-ray is an item that in this category just absolutely does nothing, and even in the old Nintendo Power strategy guide talking about this game, pretty much just was like, oh yeah, this item exists.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Ridley, finished. No problem at all. Got some questions in chat about runners' PBs. ShinyZeni coming in with a PB, second in the world now, 113.57, and Zeb316, a very strong 123.20. Although, as we talked about earlier, we believe that he may actually be on PB pace even for a 122 here. So really strong run from Zeb.
Yeah, and anyone who hasn't tried to run this category, who hasn't been through this, any time approaching 120 in general is starting to be in that high level of running. It is incredibly difficult, and even a runner like Zeni, who's now one of the only two runners with a 113 in the world, it's taken him over a year to work down from a 115 time. Just this time last year, I think his PB was like a 115.35. So it's just been a grind and of consistent movement and maximizing strategies, and Zeb has obviously done a lot of that, because you can tell Zeb is just on a mission, coming into a race with a qualifying time only 1 second behind your PB, and you can see just Zeb's executing a lot of hard strats and setting himself up for success.
I'll tell you what, this is going to blow your mind here, Vincent. I'm just taking a look at the leaderboards and looking at the older runs. 11 months ago, Zeni was sitting at a 117.05. That's 3 full minutes off his PB in the last year. Just like incredible, the progression and the time push that we've seen from him this year.
Zeb also going for the Hodarubi special and gets most of that trick. That's impressive. So Zeni's now getting those climb supers and is on to collect the aptly named 230 missiles, and we'll be on that way to that G4 room, and we get to watch him try to execute those Metroid rooms.
Yeah, and Zeni going for some of the most aggressive non-grouping strats. Coming into Tourian, the super count looks really, really good, so I do expect to see Zeni really pushing it down in Tourian.
Something to watch for too once Zeni gets to that G4 is the execution of using grapple to pick up items while working through those Metroid rooms, which is it's incredible to think about the amount of switching and execution that requires.
just about a 1:08 entry time into G4. Honestly, not that far behind PB pace. Within a minute of PB pace, I think, actually, right now.
No, my no with that he's on a 114 mid 114 run.
Yeah, I mean, and that would already go for right up there with one of the top 1 or 2 times that we've seen in this entire tournament.
And this is kind of that last mental break before what are some deceivingly difficult rooms to execute well. Zeb is now going through Bubble Mountain and going to say goodbye for that last time, and is now making the exit to finish their cleanup. Great Metroid Room 1 there.
Oh my goodness. Just absolutely incredible.
And there was that grapple strat for farming.
Yeah, nice to get that extra super missile.
Oh, these Metroid rooms. This is... Oh, that one last little troll there, but wow, just everything there. Just that's about as perfect as you can execute those rooms.
Yeah, folks, I mean, this is speaking from experience. These are the same strats that I run, and I grind these rooms again and again and again. To string all 4 of them together like that in a race, that is just absolutely marvelous work from ShinyZeni. We witnessed something just incredible there. Go ahead and give those runners a follow if you have not already. We are witnessing some awesome stuff from both ShinyZeni and Zeb316 here. And just like that, wasn't even able to get through it. The baby skip, holy smokes. Vincent, this is incredible, is it not?
Oh, yeah. Just like executing those incredibly difficult rooms and then going to execute that incredibly difficult trick just back to back to back. Just, yeah, he's on, this is a Tourian on fire. Perfect Zebetite skip, now on to Mother Brain 1. Just an amazing run from Zeni on this back half.
Yep, getting that nice down back, getting that clean, smooth movement into that Mother Brain 1. Just a little bit of trouble setting up there, but I mean, gosh, we're talking about small hiccups here. We are nitpicking the run at this point. Really, really incredible.
Zeb is now doing his return from that, from getting that X-ray, and had a wonderful, wonderful return. Did not get the speed keep, but actually had a better return on X-ray than Zeni did.
Yeah, it did look like Zeb actually got grabbed there
on the way
into X-ray. Yeah,
yes,
but yeah, I mean, it's a few seconds time loss. Maybe cut into some of the game that he had in some of the earlier sections, but still a very strong run overall for Zeb.
Watching this from Zeni, let's not take away from Zeb, who is, getting these mock ball tricks, getting, just hitting a lot of great execution. Hopefully, still on that PB pace.
Yeah, and so you see Zeni on the left side of your screen here, was staying off the ground at a critical time point. Typically, you're forced to sit through this entire cutscene in a forced crouch position by the game. But there's actually this thing that we call the stand-up glitch that allows you to do what Zeni's doing right now, which is to get some of these charged plasma shots in. This is not as intended by the developers. There's that second key point right there, the Metroid detaching from Mother Brain's head. You want to make sure you're off the ground in both of those cases so you don't get forced into that crouched position.
Zeb's now finishing in one of my favorite named rooms in the entire game, the Billy Mays room, where there's not one missiles, but wait, there's a second pack for us to pick up. Finishing that last little bit of cleanup, going to hit that old Mother Brain missiles, going to get those climb supers, 230 missiles, and then Zeb will be making their way to Tourian.
That's right. So which of those 2 missile packs can we call the ShamWow missiles then, Vincent?
I mean, I guess that's what we call these, because wow, they're still there.
Yeah, Billy Mays and ShamWow, right? All right, well, that's a dead Mother Brain 3, and ShinyZeni on pace for a strong 114 here. We'll see how this escape sequence goes, but it does look like Zeni probably going to be on pace to get right up there at one of the top 1 or 2 times in this entire tournament so far.
One of the most consistent players at executing that blue bomber at escape strategy there. That's a very difficult one to get timed out. Charging up the shine for the Behe Spark up climb. Now he'll finish this last little bit of escape time. A little bit of a hiccup there.
Yeah, and Zeb pulling off his own diagonal shine spark there, nicely making quick work of that final super pack, climbing up there in the climb room, the backside, and going to pick up his final item collection as well. As you see ShinyZeni touching down on that ship and finishing in first place with an official SRL race time of 1:14:41. Actually improving his personal best by 3 seconds on SRL.
For race time, yes, absolutely. That's a really strong race run. That's great. Like, again, in this race so far, there's been only 2 times faster, and those are by Behemoth and Zost, which who are we're talking the elite runners of Super Metroid here in these guys running these times in race in a race setting. Now we're going to switch over to audio for Zeb, who's finishing up this last drop, about to run across and get a little bit of break in that G4 room. Look like a little moonfall practice there for Zeb. Some people use that room for different things. Some people just set the controller down for a second. Some people call it the infinite bomb room practice. Different ways of approaching this room.
Yeah, I opt for some horizontal bomb jump practice in there.
Any way you can make use of that time that otherwise you've got nothing left to do. All right, now let's see how Zeb goes through these Metroid rooms.
Opting for some safer strats here. Can be a little bit tougher to group with that screw attack on. The super count definitely a little bit lower for Zeb, so he's going to want to keep an eye on that super count to try to speed up that Mother Brain fight.
Well, and some of this too is just to get. I mean, these are still great executed rooms. To get the item switch at the speed that it does to take the exit on the choice in approaching the room that Zeni does, it's next level of execution. So what Zeb did there, it's not a lot slower, and is still a solid way to execute those rooms. Let's hope Zeb gets this baby skip. That's obviously the other strategy. Looks like it was executed. Just got to see if... Yep, looks clear.
Yeah, no problem at all. Zeb going for a slightly safer version there, taking out all of those dusted up enemies. Does create a little bit of lag and slows down that room by about a second or so, but certainly the penalty of losing that for that 30-second time loss is definitely not worth it.
And as we see the confirmation of 100% on Zeni's stream, we have Zeni now joining us. How's it going tonight, Zeni?
Pretty good. Relatively happy with that run. It had some hiccups for sure, but definitely a solid race.
Yeah, for sure. You had a great race run, and Zeb looks like they might be on their way to a PB, not just a race PB, but a overall PB. So this has been a fantastic run. Looks like Zeb is going to be setting up for some.
Yeah, GG Zeni, nice run there. Coming in with looks like the third best time so far posted in this tournament, and only the third 1:14. I'm sure that feels really good getting a strong run under your belt before the semifinals.
Yeah, it does. This was actually a race PB for me too. The unfortunate thing is the escape was actually really sloppy, or it would have been a 3x, but that's okay. Still a really strong run overall.
Yeah, as we watched Zeb go for the stand-up glitch here and make his way through the end of his run. Zeni, it looks like you're going to be going up against the legendary Hodarubi in round 4. How do you feel about that? Yeah, are you excited about that? Have you faced Hodarubi in a match ever?
No, that's a huge honor, actually. I actually I did commentary for a run that Zos did earlier, and we talked about Hodarubi a little bit and how he's quite literally a legend in Super Metroid, just because of the work that he did when he first hit the scene, and the fact that he's kind of back now, and in the last few months that he's been running the main categories, he's actually come up with like, I don't know, 5-10 new strats that are, most of them are frame savers, but like the work that was done on Plasma Beam this past week,
yep,
that wouldn't have even come up if he hadn't posted something different than what people had been doing for years. Like, nobody was looking at improving that room, and then Hodarubi was like, hey, I improved the room by a second just because I'm Hodarubi.
Yeah, it looks like, and he didn't just do it for the late Croc route, but he went ahead and came up with some new ideas for early Croc without Ice Beam as well, it looks like.
Right, well, and that's the thing, is like the strat that we're using now isn't even the one that he came up with, but he still came up with something. And the fact, like I said, he was out of the major categories for literally years, and then he comes back and just, after a few months, he's making these improvements that nobody has looked at in who knows how long. So,
well, and I think that just speaks to how awesome, in general, this game as a speedrunning game is, because here we are, over 2 decades after the release of this game, and it's still not optimized. We're still finding new ways. You guys, top tier runners are finding new strategies, new ways to approach every single one of these rooms, and getting execution. That's just sometimes it watching the top tier runners, watching you guys run. It just feels like you're not even human.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but thank you.
I would say that your back half of the run tonight was there was a lot of that was inspiring. A lot of just looked like you had a great back half of your run.
Yeah, everything from, okay, not literally everything, but most of the run from Meridia up through just before Ridley, there I really had no major complaints. There are a couple things that happened. I golded Spring Ball, which I wasn't expecting whatsoever.
Wow. All right, we have Zeb done. with an
GG.
official SRL time of 1:23:21.
Yeah, improving their personal best there by 11 seconds on SRL. And yeah, definitely not just a race PB, but I think that is a verifiable PB there by about 10 to 15 seconds. So GG's to Zeb. See if we can get him in here to join us on comms.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's no better way than to have a race like this where you have two great runners running and you get to see a PB on a run. That's Zeb316 has just joined us here in chat. Zeb, congratulations on the PB.
Yeah, GG's, Zeb.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I felt pretty good about that run, other than my run up through Varia was really bad, and my lower Norfair was really bad, but otherwise it was a really solid run everywhere else. So
Yeah, you got something that I don't think I've ever seen before, but you got the triple fast pattern from
yeah, I got fast. Wow. That was sick.
That's right.
That was something the chat was going a little nuts when that happened, and even us were like, "Wow, that's 3 fasts in a row. That is super rare."
Yeah,
Have fun running against that.
Yeah. I messed up the first 2 rounds too, and I only got like 2 missiles in each of them, and like I think I got like 1-2-2 on the second one. So I had to do like a 4 into a super, and I got it. I was pretty excited about that too. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, Zeb, let me ask you. So we were talking about this a little earlier on comms. It seems like everyone who's come up against a really tough matchup, rather than trying to play up to the fastest possible skill level and end up sort of crumbling under any sort of pressure, it looks like every runner has had a really nice job to sort of stay calm, go through these rooms cleanly, and come out with a really nice PB. The same thing happened for you today. So what was your approach going into this match with ShinyZeni as the underdog today?
I basically knew that if Zeni didn't soft lock or die, I had very, very little chance of winning. So basically, I just kind of wanted to do a run like how I normally would. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, are you happy with the result? You're so close to that 122. Are you?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for a 122. My lower Norfair was really awful, so that kind of I lost 20 seconds there, and that really messed me up. But yeah, 122 shouldn't be too bad to get. Like, I'm pretty happy with this though.
Well, yeah, we were talking about PBs and just how difficult they are to drop down this time. Professor School actually looked up where Zeni's time was a year ago, and it was almost 3 minutes higher than his current PB. So just it's category you can get those time saves, but it obviously takes a lot of work to run it consistent and work. But it looks like you've got there was a lot of movement that you had that looked really smooth.
Yeah, this is still like in my first 15 or so hundo runs that I've done. I basically just learned the category for this tournament. I mostly do any percent, so yeah, I think I definitely have a lot of room to improve here. But
well, certainly a very strong run on your part, and same to you, Zeni. I think both of you put on quite a show today. We'll remind everyone to go ahead and drop a follow for those runners if you haven't already. They really were impressive today, and we wanted to thank both of you.
Yeah, that was a race PB for you, Zeni, right?
Yeah, by 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's sick.
So we both PB'd in one sense or another.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
That's about as great of a race as we could hope to get to commentate on.
Absolutely, and we're getting the confirmation here on our screen on SpeedGaming now. The 100% item collection achieved by both runners. That's definitely what we want to see. So congrats to both of you on a fantastic race. If you have anything else you want to add, please go ahead and do it now.
No, I just want to say thank you and, GG, Zeb.
Yeah, GG.
So.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to ShinyZeni going to face off against Hoda Ruby in the next round, and we wish you luck in that matchup, sir, and luck to Zeb as you continue to push down your time in 100%. Thanks so much to both of you.
Yep,
thanks
for the commentary.
Our pleasure on the commentary. Getting to cover a double PB, a race PB, and then both a overall PB and race PB for Zeb. That's again, we couldn't ask for a much better race.
No, we could not. Well, I mean, I think we all got exactly what we were hoping to get out of this. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us. So, had a little bit of technical issue early on in the run with some switch up, but we managed to get through it, and the runners put on a great show for you today. So I'm really pleased to have had the chance to commentate this, and I want to thank my co-commentator Vincent RTA, who has been doing a fantastic job commenting in this tournament, and I've really enjoyed working with you, sir.
Yeah, this is the first tournament I've done commentary on, and this has been our third time together. It's been my pleasure. And while we're talking about watching great races, let's remind everyone that tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern time, is going to be Aussie 101 versus Sloters 27. That's going to be an absolute great race. There's two players. Their PBs are very close. They're within 3.5 minutes of each other. So a really good opportunity to watch two runners that are really close, and then we'll be starting our next round soon.
Yeah, so look out for that. I got that last quarterfinal matchup. We'll be going into the semis. So for all you Super Metroid fans and speedrunning fans, we have some really great stuff in store for you over the next 2 weeks here at SpeedGaming. So with that, I wanted to thank my co-commentator and thank everyone in chat for making it a great atmosphere. And we will see you next mission.
Good night, guys.
Good night.